All right, so on your homework sheet, it says data table, and you need to watch the video, which is what you're watching right now, so that you can fill in your worksheet. So you need to find your worksheet that looks like this. I handed them out in class. If you didn't find one in class, you could just draw this on a piece of paper, or you can wait and get another sheet, but then it might be late, so it's up to you. So we're talking about the different factors that affect weather, how they impact, or what impacts that factor, and then how that factor impacts weather. So I typed it all in, and I have it in white ink right now, and I will change it as we go through so you can see. Excuse me. If you need to pause it, please do so that you can copy in the information. Okay, so for temperature, the things that impact temperature are the latitude. The further from the equator you get, the colder your temperature gets. And those movements away from the equator are the latitude lines as you go. Altitude and elevation. If you go higher up on a mountain, it is also colder than it is down at sea level. Wind, we can totally relate to this in Wisconsin. In the winter, we have wind chills, and it feels much colder because of the wind. And then lastly, cloud cover. The amount of sunshine that is able to get through really affects the temperature as well. So then how does temperature impact weather? Well, the higher the temperature is, the higher the dew point can be, which means there can be more humidity, which then also leads to evaporation. And the more moisture in the air, the better chance we have of rain. We also can have a change in temperature, and this change in temperature is because of a change in pressure and then other weather conditions. If you need to pause to fill this all in, please do. The second factor is humidity. Humidity has to do with the amount of water in the area. If we are in a very dry area and there's no water around, it's going to be less humid. If we are in an area where there is lots of water and lakes and rivers and streams and oceans and those kinds of things, we have a much better chance of it being humid because there's actually water that can go into the air. The temperature matters. So temp means temperature. Okay, I was just trying to shorten it up for you. And then the higher the temperature, the more water vapor can be held. So if we have a high temperature, the air can actually hold more water than if we have a low temperature. Then on the last column, it talks about how if we have higher humidity, this can then increase our chance of precipitation as the water vapor is needed to make precipitation. So we cannot have rain unless there is humidity in the air and water vapor in the air. So the more humid it gets, the more water is in the air, the higher chance we have of it raining or snowing or something like that. Again, push pause if you need to. Air pressure. Air pressure is dependent on elevation. The higher up the mountain you go, the less air pressure there is. The lower down to sea level, or even if you were to go like scuba diving, like you would then have higher pressure pushing down on you because there is more airspace pushing on you. The temperature matters and the movement of those air masses. So we've talked before that high pressure equals dry, clear weather. This is where we get those, where we call them happy highs. Oops, I can't type. Okay, so we have happy highs from high pressure, which gives us clear, dry weather. Our low pressure then is what gives us our precipitation, and this is where we talk about our lousy lows and how the temperature, precipitation is there. It's stormy skies, cloudy skies, just kind of that dreary, yucky weather. That is from low pressure. Push pause if you need to. Cloud cover. Cloud cover is dependent on the water vapor. You need water molecules and water vapor in the air in order to make the clouds. If it's not there, there will be no clouds being formed. And then again, the temperature too, that has to do with what types of clouds are formed and how big they are and how much moisture they can hold and all of those things. So then our final column, it talks about how clouds need to form before the precipitation forms. If there's no clouds, we will not have any rain or snow because they come out of the cloud. We need the cloud first. Um, Clouds also impact temperature. So these are two different facts here, and I'm going to indent them different because I don't like how this looks, and I think it'll make more sense. So give me just a second. Okay, so if we have daily clouds during the day, we will tend to have lower temperatures. That doesn't mean it's cold, but it's just lower than they could be because the heat from the sun is not able to get through the clouds and onto Earth. So it's kind of like blocking them out. If we have clouds at night, they tend to make it warmer because they are holding the heat into Earth. So if you ever think of like a cold winter night, the really, really crisp, freezing cold nights, you can see every star in the sky because there's no clouds. They're not holding any of the heat that was created during the day towards the Earth at all. It's all just released back into the atmosphere because there's no clouds to hold it in. I think of those nightly clouds kind of like a blanket and they keep the warmth in underneath them. Okay, pause if you need to. All right, and the last one, which probably is the easiest one, I think. So precipitation. Precipitation is adjusted by temperature. If it's above 32 degrees, we will have rain. If it's below 32 degrees, we will have snow. If it's around 32 degrees, then we have that mix of rain and snow or sleet or things like that. Air pressure makes a difference, and so does humidity. If it's really humid, we will have a lot more snow or rain or whatever is coming down than if it is less humid. Um, this really is apparent in snowfall when we have the really wet, heavy, packy snowman, snowball snow. That was when it was really humid out because the snow then is really wet as well. If we have that really dry, fluffy snow that's really light, that would be created on a less humid day because it didn't take as much moisture out of the air. And then precipitation impacts how we experience weather conditions. Typically, when someone talks about weather, they are talking about is it raining, snowing, or what's going on. Okay, that was a whole lot of information. Hit pause if you need to. Make sure that you have filled in your chart. This needs to get in your notebook because you're going to need this for your test.